It was fun to see the interaction between Kirby Smart and Nick Saban on your network in
Yeah.
particular. That was really fun to see because you kind of see a little bit behind the scenes and that dynamic when they were on the same staff. How has Kirby Smart basically become our current Nick Saban?
I mean, you remember that I mean, you're probably the same age that I am, so we used to have that commercial of like, why are you doing drugs? They're like, I learned it from watching you, right? Like it was like an old PSA back in the day. Well, how did you dominate college football? I learned it from watching you. I mean, he was there at a front row seat to how Saban was obsessed about recruiting and defense, and he's done it. And so, Kirby's become the gold standard of football. It's funny, Mark, at media days, we didn't even really talk about Georgia. It's almost like in a 12-team playoff, we're like, okay, well, they're in. What other teams excite you? And so they've kind of become like the IRS where you just know that they're going to be there every single year and you can't do anything about it. And they're, Carson Beck, they're loaded once again defensively. I mean, you look at they get off the bus, Mark, and they look better than some NFL teams right now. It's truly ridiculous.
Ra Thomas won't be there. We just heard today that he's been dismissed from the team. A bit of a unfortunate situation. Did some horrible things, family violence. That's what he's being charged with right now. Okay, driving incidents. We're up to like 24 for a year. It's just this strange occurrence that many incidents would have that all line up in the same category for this program.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, and I've talked to some people on the ground, and trust me, that they are very aware of it, and they're very aware of it simply for the fact of what happened a couple of years ago after the championship game, where you had the tragic death of a player and a staffer, and then they start doing some digging, and they realize, hey man, they've been having some issues with driving before, and so I think what happened, Mark, is that a lot of the Athens Police Department says, hey, listen, anytime that we pull over a Georgia football player, I don't care if you forgot to put your blinker on left. I'm gonna have to give you a ticket and arrest you. It's that simple because it's almost like the Athens Police Department has had like a zero tolerance policy because of what happened in the past. And so I've talked to them because I rant and raved last year about Kirby going, why aren't you kicking these guys off the team? Right? Like it's a privilege to play football for Georgia. And basically, now I kind of understand a little bit more of it going, hey, what if you were some 18-year-old kid, you've never been in trouble, whatever in your life. And all of a sudden, hey, you took, you don't know your way around Athens. You went down the wrong way on a one-way or something like that. Whoop, whoop, the cop pulls you over. You've never been in trouble, got a clean record. And so now you're kicked off the team. It's a fine line. And I think where Kirby in Georgia, and I think more teams are going to start doing this, is now they're going to start dipping into the NIL agreements that they have with these guys and go, listen, if you get in trouble, hey, guess what? That's going to affect your pocketbook at some point. And so that's a developing punishment that some of these guys can eventually end up being a part of. And I'm kind of curious to see if more schools go down that road.
And we talk about Saban and Smart and that connection. That seems to be one thing that Nick Saban just had the golden Midas touch of taking some troubled guys that made some bad decision, but knowing, hey, we're not going to kick them off the team. We're going to work with him, and it usually, you can't predict the future, but it usually turned out to be the right decision.